What's up, preppers? Or more specifically, what's up to all of my female preppers? Now guys, this one is for you as well, but I'm asking my viewers who are predominantly male to forward this video to their sisters, wives, moms, girlfriends, all the ladies in your lives. We are going to talk about situational awareness. In the simplest definition, situational awareness is a mindset to assess and identify any potential threats to your person in any environment. Basically sizing up every situation you are in, being able to quickly identify and react to the possible threats. Situational awareness can be the very first defense against most threats we'll encounter in our lives. By honing your skills in situational awareness, you will start to see threats from everywhere. It can be a healthy level of paranoia that can help you avoid, act, or flee dangerous situations. If you study the following information, I guarantee that with a little practice, you will be much more successful if and when dangerous situations occur. Please watch this video once, then go back and watch it again. I worked hard on this video and I think you will gain a ton of great information from it. What's up, preppers? I'm the Community Prepper, and as always, thank you for watching my channel. Also be sure to give this video a thumbs up, but only if you've gotten some valuable information from it. And please consider subscribing to my channel if you like videos about prepping, firearms, product reviews, and all other topics prepping related. Now, I began this video with a quote from one of my favorite movies, Fight Club. There's a line from Brad Pitt's character, Tyler Durden, that says, quote, "On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0, end quote. I always found this line interesting because it means we will all eventually meet our maker. The positive side of this quote is that there are many things we can do to prolong this event, be it by eating healthy and exercising, abstaining from substances that will shorten your lifespan, or being aware of the threats in our everyday lives. These everyday threats usually go unnoticed, overlooked, or ignored, but if everything lines up in the negative, they could hurt or even kill you. If any of you study Stoic philosophy, a main aspect that the ancient Stoics address is that most of what happens to us in our lives is out of our immediate control. What we are in 100% control of is our reaction to it, and to go further, how we prepare for it. As stated earlier, situational awareness is a mindset to assess and identify potential threats to you and your person in any environment. A quick example of this is going into a public area, like an ATM, to withdraw cash. If you use your situational awareness skills and sit in your car for an extra few seconds, you can size up the potential threats of the situation. Look around the environment to see where an attacker might come from. Thinking like a criminal will also help you zero in on where the attacker might be. Would the attacker hide in the dark area of the parking lot with the trees, waiting to ambush you? What about the only other car in the lot with the tinted out windows sitting patiently for their victim? What would you do if someone pulled a knife or a gun on you demanding your money? Do you have a plan on what you would do and how you would act in this situation? Now, the great thing about situational awareness is that it's not necessarily a skill, like playing the guitar or being able to hit a golf ball, but a mindset. This mindset, if practiced, will turn into a skill. One of the best ways to begin your journey towards situational awareness is by simply people watching. You can practice this at the airport, the beach, or even the grocery store. Start by picking out the person or people who subconsciously trip off your creep alarm. Perhaps they're the anomaly in the group.
Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was...
Look again.
Are you at a bar where everyone is socializing and having fun? Did you notice the single guy in the corner with that sad or mad look on his face who is also watching the crowd? Why isn't he smiling and socializing like the rest of the people at the bar? Maybe he's just broken up with someone and is blowing off some steam over a few beers. Or maybe he is wanting a fight or worse. He is the anomaly. Another example is, it's 80 degrees outside and you see a large group of kids in a mall who are wearing baggy pants and hooded sweatshirts covering most of their faces. Are they there to rob the stores, cause a riot? Perhaps they're a rival gang waiting to see their counterparts. This group is the anomaly. Or is this group merely dressed in trendy clothing and they are simply meeting friends or shopping? Anomalies don't quite fit into the social norm of the situation. By observing people in an environment that aren't doing, looking, dressing, or acting like most people are acting, should put your level of readiness up a few notches. Now, most of the times, the thoughts you have in these situations will be benign. But it's that one time it could be something else. Staying vigilant will increase your chances of coming out on top when that black swan situation occurs. Another way of honing your situational awareness skills is by reading the threats in your environment that may come from natural sources like the weather, the turbulent ocean, or by simply going with your gut instincts. You wouldn't go out walking in a field during a lightning storm or leave the house without a warm jacket in the winter. But do you normally think about where you are sitting in the park during high winds? What about that tree limb that is just waiting for the right time to fall on someone? Or the waves at the ocean that you weren't really paying attention to until the tide came in and washed your blanket and all your belongings out to sea? Furthermore, choosing where you sit in a restaurant is another aspect many people do not think about. When the hostess seats you, ask if you can sit in the corner booth with your back to the wall. You are now in the best area to see a threat that may enter the restaurant, and of course, you know where all the exits are too. This simple seating arrangement allows you to have the greatest viewpoint in the restaurant to quickly notice something unusual. Many people go through their lives in too much of a relaxed state, not paying attention and confident that bad things only happen to other people. But people get hit by cars, robbed, murdered, and abducted every day. Eventually, it may happen to you. Remember the quote at the beginning?
On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone drops to 0.
If you are alive for an infinite number of years, eventually you will become a victim of just about everything. This training minimalizes your chances of becoming that victim. Let's talk about transitional spaces. A transitional space is an area outside of your safe zone, an area you might have to cross or enter to get to a destination. Examples of transitional spaces are parking lots, ATM machines, the walk from your office to your car, a street fair, even sitting on your front porch. In these areas, you are vulnerable to attackers, natural events, cars zooming by, and other potential nefarious groups or people. There are many ways to safely navigate transitional spaces, and I'd like to go over a few of them now. The first is to plan prior to entering the space. It was daytime when you arrived at work. Will you be leaving the office late tonight? Perhaps arriving early to get a parking spot close to the entrance or next to a streetlight would be your best action. Do you keep your OC spray or pepper spray, your baton or gun with you, or did you leave it in your car? What about your flashlight? When you are going to the ATM, did you scan your environment for threats? Perhaps walking to the ATM, you keep your pepper spray or whistle in your hands the entire time until you are back into your car with the doors locked. Leave the bar or restaurant with the group you came in with and pre-plan to all walk out together. If that isn't an option, ask the security guard to escort you to your car. There is safety in numbers. When you leave a shopping mall, don't have obvious expensive belongings advertising to thieves that you just bought that new Louis Vuitton bag. Do you have your OC spray in your hand or is it in your bag? Is your firearm in your purse or are you carrying it on your person in and inside the waistband holster? Being able to grab tools to fight must be in quick access because you usually don't have the leisure to know exactly when the attacker is coming. Also, avoid focus locks like your cell phone, headphones, or thinking about your job interview or a recent breakup. It baffles me how many people I see walking through crosswalks with their heads in their cell phones. What about the driver who is also head up ass, flying through the red light? Be in the moment to detect people approaching and other possible threats. Finally, have preset boundaries. When you do cross the street, when do you pull out that weapon? When do you run? How close are you willing to get unknown people into your comfort zone? It may be rude to cross the street or run, but I'd rather be rude than wrong. Many people enter these transitional spaces every day without a thought in their minds that something bad can happen. Most people operate on autopilot and have a preconceived notion that everything will be just fine. This is known as the normalcy bias. The normalcy bias basically means that because you have gone your entire life performing normal chores like getting groceries, pumping gas, or hitting that ATM, and nothing bad has ever happened, your normalcy bias says that it will stay this way forever. The normalcy bias is usually what gets most people in trouble because they are not paying attention to their surroundings. Try thinking like a criminal that wants to do you harm in every situation you are in, and you can better grasp where, how, and when the threat might originate from. If you refuse to be a victim, you should always have your guard up. Attackers like soft targets that are distracted, walking alone, and look feeble. Attackers always want easy prey. Your body language and the way you simply hold yourself might make the attacker opt for another victim who isn't ready, looking at their phone, or even being intoxicated. Instead, have your weapon on you, ready to use it at a moment's notice. Your head is on a swivel. Look everyone in the eye. It tells them, I see you. It can only take a momentary lack of awareness for an attack to happen. Don't allow yourself to be an easy target. Be hard to kill. Now, this graph shows how people operate across a spectrum of emotions in normal situations. The white represents a person who is relaxed, not really paying attention, maybe even head up ass. The only time you should be operating in the white is when you are in a completely safe environment, like your home, with the doors locked, watching TV, reading a book, or even sleeping. The yellow represents a person who is relaxed but aware. They are taking in the surroundings and observing the normal day-to-day activities in that environment, but not really fussing about anything in particular. This is more of a subconscious mindset, a bit above autopilot, but being aware of your environment. This should be your state of mind in normal environments. Aware, alert, and not distracted by focus locks like your cell phone. The call or text can wait, so can checking social media. Stay in a focused frame of mind until you're in your car with the doors locked. The orange is when you have focused awareness. You are carefully observing a potential threat. Picture this scenario when you might be approached by a group of people in the cliché dark alley, or driving in busy traffic where a car accident just occurred, or maybe driving in a snowstorm as well. You are consciously more focused on the immediate threats, and you have options of how to navigate them. When you are consciously more aware, you will respond quicker and smarter to threats because you already have an escape plan in the back of your mind. Now, the red zone is where a confirmed threat has become apparent. You must act or your life can be in danger. This is the fight or flight response programmed into our DNA for survival. Role-playing these events can help you be better prepared for them when they occur. I like to use the flat tire analogy. You're driving on the freeway going 70 miles per hour, and all of a sudden you have a flat tire. Next time you are driving your car, imagine yourself having a blowout in the fast lane of the freeway. Imagine yourself letting off the gas, checking your mirrors and your blind spot, signaling that you are trying to get to the shoulder. You then slowly progress until you are off the road in a safe area to call a tow truck or change the tire. Once parked, you are also aware of the dangers of being on the side of the freeway. Get behind the guardrail, never have your back to traffic, and expect someone to slam into your disabled car. Now, having role-played that situation out in your mind, you will now be more inclined not to panic or take dangerous actions to remedy your situation. Finally, the black zone represents a complete freeze-up. You aren't able to take any actions because you are beyond panic. They say that in any catastrophic situation, you'll have a group of leaders, the sheep who need guidance, and those who are beyond help. The ability to not freeze up in extreme situations can be learned by both role-playing and by exposing oneself to certain extreme situations. Most people avoid confrontation, being uncomfortable, and don't venture beyond their comfort zones. These common practices have fabricated a bubble wrap around most of society, and today, many people have zero to no coping skills in everyday life, let alone a chaotic situation. If a person gets flustered with someone simply yelling at them during a road rage incident, how would they act when having to run from a mob, navigate a building on fire, or not panicking during a hurricane, tornado, or wildfire? How would you react if a woman was jogging and got hit by a car? Would you panic, or would you be able to keep calm where you can help the woman? My point is that exposing ourselves to situations that may be uncomfortable will thicken our skin when bad things really happen. Now, I'm not saying to go out and pick a fight with someone or go off into a wildfire. Perhaps getting out of your comfort zone a little more often will help you gain a level of calmness when something disastrous occurs. Learning some open-handed skills will better prepare you for when an actual attacker puts his hands on you. Desensitizing yourself to both physical and mental stress will thicken your skin. In my bouncing days, I remember the first fight I was ever in. During the fight, I got tunnel vision, the adrenaline dump, and I don't really remember what happened afterwards. Fast forward to my 50th fight, and I was calm and collected. I was able to better size up my situation and keep my cool the entire time. I got desensitized to fighting, and I became calmer and a more collected person when it came to physical confrontations. Let's talk about wargaming and role-playing. Wargaming and role-playing scenarios and actually sparring will greatly improve your reactions to a fast-moving, stressful situation. There are many classes specifically designed for females to fend off attackers. Check your local gyms for classes specifically designed for their female clientele. Hey, you might even meet some friends as well. The last part of this tutorial revolves around weapons: lethal, less lethal, and improvised weapons. Guns, knives, pepper spray, loud whistles, flashlights, and your fists and feet. I like to call firearms the great equalizer. We just need to face facts that the average woman cannot fend off the average man in a fist-to-fist or strength match. If that woman now has a weapon on her person, it's a level multiplier to repel the attacker. Most situations give you the option of running, hiding, or fighting. These options aren't always present, and we'll go over some hypothetical situations to demonstrate this. Running and getting out of the area will always be your best and most obvious option. Once away, distance buys you time to make other decisions like finding cover or waiting for the police. If running isn't an option, you can hide in a closet or room while barricading the door in hopes the attacker passes you by. But what if neither of those tactics work? Let's talk about a scenario of an active shooter in your place of work. I'll cover the three options of run, hide, and fight in this hypothetical situation. So you're at work, and a person starts shooting in your office building. You are in your cubicle, and perhaps you only have maybe pepper spray. Your option to fight with this limited force multiplier is greatly lessened. You have pepper spray, and he has a gun. Your first option is to try to get as far away from the shooter and try to get completely away from the threat and hopefully out of the building. If running isn't an option, you'll now want to find shelter or a place to hide. By hiding in a closet or room and locking or barricading the door, you will greatly increase the possibility that your attacker will pass you by and move on to an easier target. Mass shooters want to cause as much casualties in the shortest amount of time. If they find the door locked, they may not waste time trying to pry it open. However, if the person does gain entry into the room, your only option left is to fight. Use items you would find in an office that you can use for weapons: coffee mugs, mop or broom handles, heavy staple guns, kitchen knives, even a solid piece of metal or wood. At this point, it's better to try to fight for your life than to just lie down and accept your fate. Side note on this is to know what you are legally allowed to own and conceal in your state and what your employer allows employees to actually bring with them into their workspace. Pepper spray, a small knife, a flashlight, a whistle, these are all items that most states, actually all states, and most employers will allow their employees to carry on them or in their bags most of the time. But it's completely up to you if you want to skirt the rules of your employer for your own protection. It's always easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. If you've just eliminated a deadly threat in your office that would have killed many more people if you hadn't stepped in, are you willing to face the consequences of having used a barred item that you should have left in your car? Let's talk about weapons. Guns, tasers, OC spray, knives, and your fisticuffs. Training with weapons you decide to carry is a topic I cannot stress enough. If you carry a firearm, you must train and train and train. Many people think just because they now have purchased a weapon, they're ready for World War III. The worst thing you can do is purchase a firearm and put it in your purse or bedside table at home and never have trained with it. Spend the extra $100 at the range and take a few lessons to get familiar with your firearm. Shooting a gun isn't rocket surgery. After only a few lessons and several hundred rounds, you should be pretty comfortable. Once you get to this level, it's a good idea to shoot a box of ammo every other month to stay sharp. It's also a good time to discuss the female shooter. There's a saying in the gun world that goes, "The only thing more dangerous than a gun is a woman with a gun who's afraid to shoot it." Meaning, once you pull the gun and draw on your target, you might get cold feet. In this case, the attacker could then disarm you, making your gun his gun, allowing him to resume his rampage. Also, your attacker might present to you a strange aspect of the human psyche. Imagine you have drawn on your attacker, and instead of them begging you not to shoot them, they say something like, "Go ahead, I dare you." Maybe he even starts to approach you, calling your bluff. I call this the tough guy syndrome. The person is playing a psychological game with you to see if you've got the balls to actually pull the trigger. Gunfights often contain millisecond decisions that training will help alleviate. Do you have a clear shot? What does the area behind your target hold? How close will you let your attacker get before you pull the trigger? Would you shoot somebody armed with a stick, a pencil, a tire iron, a baseball bat, a knife, a piece of rebar? Role-playing these situations now will allow you to make quicker decisions when deciding if lethal force is both needed and justified. What if your attacker is giving up now that he knows you've got him dead to rights? Legal ramifications can incur if you shoot an unarmed or fleeing subject. These topics are all covered in firearms lessons that can give you the confidence you need if you decide to carry a firearm. Carrying a firearm is a huge responsibility, and it's not for everyone. I would suggest taking a few basic firearm courses first to see if gun ownership is something you want to consider. This can all be overwhelming, but my purpose is to get you to start thinking critically about the possible ramifications if you ever need to use lethal force against another person. Less lethal options. So we've talked about lethal options. Let's talk about less lethal options. I understand firearm use and ownership isn't for everyone. I understand this. But firearms apart, I suggest every man and woman should always carry a less lethal option and learn how to use it as well. Ladies, go get some OC spray and don't just put it in your purse. Go outside and try to hit the target with the stream from about 10 or 15 feet away. Those smaller pepper spray or OC units usually have a few good squirts in them. So go out and see how it actually feels and see how strong that stream is. If you carry a taser, perhaps try it out on tasing a tree trunk. You'll find that tasers are very loud and might even scare your attacker away. Again, if firearms aren't for you, they now make pepperball guns. They shoot like paintball guns and are powered by CO2. I have no affiliation with the company, but check out the Byrna CO2 powered pepperball guns. If you get one, go out in the woods, try aiming and shooting to get comfortable with your new CO2 weapon. When things get crazy, your adrenaline is pumping and there's chaos all around you. We all go back to our lowest level of training. That's why training is so important. So it becomes second nature, autopilot, something familiar when you really need it to shine. The concept of situational awareness may be a new topic for many of you, and my goal of this video was to introduce people to the importance of looking out for you and your family in an ever-changing world. Society isn't what it used to be, where it was the norm to have neighbors, coworkers, and even strangers looking out for one another. If you haven't been doing so, it's time to take your own safety into your own hands or even step it up a bit. I really hope you learned something from this video and you begin your journey into becoming more aware of your surroundings and you're wising up to the dangers inherent in this world and the fact that there has been and always will be evil people. I ask you again to rewatch this video, share it with everyone you care about, and as always, refuse to be a victim.